Welcome back to the Missouri State Fair in Sedalia, where a little light rain is starting to fall. We see a few umbrellas out and about as people make their way around. I think most people glad to see some rain. It's been a dry, hot summer, but it's very pleasant temperature-wise here today. And as we heard from Mark Wolf, they've had great crowds here to start this year's fair. Well, this is always a big day at the Missouri State Fair, Farm Family Day with the Missouri Farm Bureau. Blake Hurst is with us, president of the Missouri Farm Bureau. Good to see you. This is quite a day. Tell us how this all got started, really. I mean, this has been going on for some time.
Yeah, we've been doing it for years and years, and it's a chance for us to recognize a farm family from every state. The Extension Service selects a farm family, and we get a chance to welcome them to the fair, to feed them, and to sort of recognize the work that they do to make Missouri agriculture what it is.
Yeah, and you have a number of different events, and of course up to your building here on the fairgrounds. I know you've had a lot of people through there today.
Yeah, we had a real short press conference. Got a chance to talk to our ambassadors, college students that represent us, Austin and Chelsea today, and then we also had a chance to welcome Meredith Jones, who's the new State Fair Queen, and she was a nominee of the Missouri Collegiate Farm Bureau. So we're pretty proud of Meredith. I've known her since she was literally in diapers. So it was really good to see her. She's grown into quite a well-spoken young woman.
It's also a chance to let people know more about Missouri Farm Bureau, and they get to enjoy some milk here as well.
Yeah, we always have milk for sale. It's always something that helps cool people off when we have hot days. Not so necessary today, but people are still enjoying the milk, still enjoying the chance to see friends in the Farm Bureau building. We have a lot of members through today, and it's a big day at the fair for us.
Well, let's talk some of the issues. I know that you were very happy, as much of agriculture, breathing a sigh of relief when the Department of Transportation announced they would not be requiring commercial driver's license for everyone on a farm and ranching operation.
Yeah, it was a concern to us when they started talking about interstate commerce, meaning if you were driving 5 miles to a local elevator, when they were starting to talk about having to have a CDL, saying you were hauling for hire if you were hauling the landlord's share of your corn to town. Just crazy stuff. We're glad we won. We're glad we got good news. But sometimes you wonder, why do we have to fight these battles in the first place? Why isn't there more common sense? Why do they get ready to have regulations like this? And I don't know the answer to that.
Yeah, I thought the same thing when we had the Department of Transportation deputy on, and he was making it, really emphasizing that, no, we're not going to put these burdens on. We're not going to try to try to do more to put, heavy burdens on the backs of farmers and ranchers. I'm thinking, yeah, why is this even an issue? Why do we have to make a big deal over something you're not doing that really shouldn't have come up in the first place?
Yeah, well, I mean, I never was sure what the problem was that they were trying to solve, because there isn't one. Farmers are safe operators. There's not been any increase in problems with safety. We still have to meet all the safety requirements that we always have. So I have no idea what the problem was that was a solution for.
Yeah. And he seemed to think, he told us it was kind of an erroneous report out there, or a rumor that they were trying to clear up, but it sure seemed to take a long time to clear it up. But fortunately, and hopefully it is now. All right, we're talking with Blake Hurst, president of the Missouri Farm Bureau. Flooding this year continues to be an issue, and I know now the focus is not only with helping folks still dealing with it, but looking to the future. Is there a better way to handle this? And I know that there's some mixed feelings on this. Seems like the Corps of Engineers seems to think they handled it pretty well, and a lot of people affected by the floods this year would disagree.
Yeah, we're very upset, as we said before, to see that they weren't going to increase flood control capacity in those upstream reservoirs. That's something that has to be done. We've got to have more room to handle an event like the one we had this spring. And it's been a terrible year for farmers along both the Missouri and the Mississippi rivers, and we hope that when we're all working together, I know that the senators up and down the river are convening their working group either today or tomorrow. Hopefully they'll come out with a unified message. And I know we in agriculture, we in Missouri, it doesn't matter your party, your affiliation, what ag group you're involved in. We're together on this issue, and it's our main issue. It's the one we're working the hardest on. We've got to get the levees repaired, and we've got to get more flood capacity in the storage system for another year like this one.
And I would think, if nothing else, and we haven't heard much about this, you would think there would be some thought given, or at least comments made that, okay, could we have started trying to ease it sooner? I mean, sure, this was an historic flooding situation, but could we have started sooner with some things to maybe have helped alleviate it, and maybe it had been a little different in the outcome?
Yeah, if they'd started a little sooner, if they'd had a little more capacity to start the spring with. Yeah, the rains were unprecedented. The snowpack was high, and the rains were unprecedented. But they're not making any changes now. But once it's happened, well, when bad things happen, you think, well, what can I do to make it better? And it doesn't seem that they are undergoing that thought process yet. And I hope that we can, with the help of all the political leadership we've had, with all the citizens up and down the Missouri, I hope we can get them to undertake that sort of mental exercise. What can we do to make sure this doesn't happen again?
To show you, too, the severity of the situation, it's amazing. As dry as it's been downriver, very little rain this summer, you still look at the Missouri-Mississippi rivers, and they're really full. That shows how much water there is upstream. Yeah,
it's just amazing. I mean, we're not getting. We've had the water go down a little bit, but it's just so much more water to get rid of, so much more water to evacuate from the bottoms before we can even begin to see the damage that's been done. So it is just a tremendous amount of water coming down that river.
As you said, repairing those levees that were blown, that has to be a priority.
Yeah, we can't have a minute go by that it's dry enough that we don't start repairing the levees. And hopefully they're making plans. Hopefully they're staging the equipment to get this thing done as quickly as possible.
Let's talk about the HSUS ballot initiative effort wanting to change basically the Constitution of Missouri as far as being able, what would be required to make a change such as was done with Proposition B.
Yeah, well, they're attempting to amend our Constitution so it takes a 3/4 vote of the legislature to change an initiative adopted by the people. Anybody that follows politics knows it might as well be a unanimous vote. They'll never, if we adopt this initiative petition, there'll never be another change. And we've changed, I don't know, 7 or 8 of the last 10 initiative petitions that have been passed in the state. The legislature's made amendments to. Every part of government has checks and balances. The executive is checked by the judiciary. The governor has a veto pen to check the legislature. And I think that the initiative petition, as important as it is, needs those checks and balances as well. So we're opposing that and hope that it does not get on the ballot.
And again, the idea that an outside group comes into a state to try to change their constitution.
Yeah, it is. When you think about it, it's fairly arrogant. You know, Missouri's been well governed and doing pretty well for ourselves for 100, almost 200 years, I guess. And now at once we can't govern ourselves without the help of the HSUS. I think that's sort of ludicrous on the face of it.
We're seeing some other moves around the country in North Dakota. Farm Bureau there pushing for some state constitutional amendments, actually try to put in some more protection for farming and ranching operations.
Yeah, I read at least a rough draft of their language. It sounds like good language. I don't know how well those things will work. I'm really interested to see whether that will provide some protection against the kind of ballot initiatives that HSUS runs. I hope that it will, and I wish the people in North Dakota a great deal of luck in their endeavor.
Hey, what's the latest on the elk situation in Missouri?
Well, the elk are there. I guess 5 of them have had calves. They seem to be traveling a little bit more than people anticipated. They've, according to the Conservation Department, they've left the confines of the area they were supposed to stay in. They go right back. They haven't left them very far, according to the tracking collars, but it is a concern that already they're moving outside of where they were supposed to be.
Now, for people not familiar with what we're talking about, kind of give us a little background of it.
Well, we decided over Farm Bureau's opposition to reintroduce elk in the state of Missouri. So there's a herd of 39 elk, I think, in south central Missouri. They're all wearing tracking collars. Our argument all along was that we weren't taking into account the concerns, even though it's popular with people to reintroduce elk, that the landowners in the area are concerned about what's going to happen to their fences, what's going to happen to their hay. There's very few crops down there, but any crops, any planting of alfalfa or anything like that, concerned about what the damage will do. We've asked that the Conservation Department will stand ready to compensate farmers for any prospective damage. That hasn't happened yet, so we're watching this situation very closely.
Considering the amount of damage done to crops by deer, I mean, it's just hard to imagine to think you're going to bring in elk and not have even more damage.
Yeah, it is a concern. I mean, when you hit an elk with your car, you know that you've had an accident, so that's a concern. But just the size of them, they don't go over fences as much as they go through them. And so when you talk to people who live in areas with large elk herds, it's a concern. It causes problems for farmers and ranchers. So hopefully the Conservation Department is right. Hopefully they'll stay home. The early indications are that they won't.
It's hard to imagine. I mean, it's just hard to imagine that they would.
Yeah, well, they're roaming animals, and that's what they're doing. They're roaming.
All right. Well, Blake, we'll let you go back and start roaming the fairgrounds a little bit more and talking with some of the Missouri Farm Bureau farm families that are here in attendance. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Blake Hurst, president of the Missouri Farm Bureau. Again, it's a big, big day here at the Missouri State Fair for Missouri Farm Bureau and farm families from all around the state. Again, good crowds already here at the beginning of the fair, and looks like the week is off to a good start as well. Well, we talk a lot about Missouri Farmers Care, the coalition of Missouri ag groups, and the different promotions and activities and educational events and programs that they have going. It's really a program that is really growing in strength and in results, really helping to get the agricultural message out. They've been partnering with the St. Louis Cardinals and a number of other things that we're going to learn more about coming up in our next segment here from the Missouri State Fair about some of the work of Missouri Farmers Care. Again, a quick reminder for those of you that will be at the Illinois State Fair in Springfield tomorrow. It's Ag Day there, and we'll be at the Commodities Pavilion right across from the grandstand, sharing the stage with Illinois Farm Bureau, and we always appreciate their hospitality. So those of you around Springfield, we hope you'll stop by and see us tomorrow. All right, we'll come back here, wrap things up at the Missouri State Fair to learn more about Missouri Farmers Care. That's next on AgriTalk.